Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Creator Compound. This is episode 6. I am brought here today with my amazing co-host, Liam. I am your host also as well, Toby. And welcome to episode 6 of Creator Compound. There's going to be a lot of juicy stuff that we're going to talk about. We have a couple things lined up on the docket. And my notifications are on. Oh, I think those are yours, actually.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Anyways, welcome to episode 6. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I'm really excited to talk. I feel like the subjects we've got for today are some hard-hitting subjects. I think that I've heard some of them even intermingle a little bit, so I'm excited to kind of talk about the different sort of all the different ways that we can kind of cover that for the audience today.
Yeah. So I guess we can just go ahead and kind of jump right into it with our first one, which is that this is kind of big. Faze Clan is reportedly looking to go private less than after a year on the NASDAQ. So if you didn't know by now, what was it? In August of 2022, Faze Clan went public on the not New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ.
Yep.
And they merged with another company to go public. And the idea was that with this new round of funding and with IPO, that they would be able to kind of leverage this influx of cash to grow the brand. That did not happen.
No, it did not
In
happen.
fact, the opposite probably happened. The deal basically valued Faze Clan at $725 million, which was lower than the $1 billion valuation that they had going into it.
Yep.
But it's pretty much nosedived from there. So when they IPO'd at like $20 a share, I think, or it started at 12, went to 20,
12, yep.
Then it kind of evened off at 12, and then it just started plummeting when there was a new article that came out saying that they're not in a great financial position.
It was really when the article said they had what, and we've talked about it. I think in what was it, episode 2 or 3?
Yeah,
we talk about the fact that they gave them less than a year's run rate, right?
Yeah,
which means that they only had enough operational budget to make it to November. So that's literally 7 or 8 months from now. So that's not good.
Yeah, it's not great at all. Since the filing, they're currently trading at 53 cents a share after hitting a low of 37 cents. Now, this is important because if they close below $1 for 30 days straight, then they have to be delisted off the actual exchange itself.
Yeah.
Which is bad.
That is bad. And
which is very, very
they
bad.
End up going to probably like an OTC situation if there is ever going to be any listing with that. GameSquare is a similar company that is the owner of Complexity, and they're on the OTCs. And OTCs is basically like their penny stocks.
Right.
So it's not generally those are believed to be not the best, or what's the word? They're risky investments.
Right.
They're pretty much hit or misses. Like you're kind of angel investing with that, so to speak, with those OTCs, because they're generally, and like those were what the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, got big on. And that's what that whole movie's about, is he's taking things that weren't really that valued and claiming that they're worth a bunch, and selling them to people who really don't know any better and are just listening to a very convincing person on the phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, their plan, I mean, I think their valuation, if I'm not mistaken, holds right around $40 million right now. And so, I've heard that they need almost 9 figures, so almost $100 million just to get them back into a structural situation to where they could go private.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to secure about $100 million of funding in order to go back to being able to at least keep the company running financially moving forward. I don't know what that looks like for their 150-person creator roster. There's obviously been a lot of repercussions as it pertains to the original, what are they, about 10 of them originally?
Like the
12
OG
of them?
10.
The OG, yeah. So like the Faze New York house, for example, or the first LA Faze house. Those houses that had Temper and Blaze and Adapt and I could just keep naming them. But all of those guys have clearly, Rain, for another one who's been very outspoken recently, have moved along from Faze kind of as a brand. Nadeshot made mention of like the fact that their content creation is not associated really in any way with those founding members, and so you've moved away from the brand as it pertains to the content brand. The brand is still, I think, the same similar phase, right? I mean, it's the same red. Always looking for good talent, picking up. They did do the whole celebrity thing for a little while.
Yep.
And that's kind of interesting because I think you had two teams that were doing that seemed like they were doing it pretty successfully, and that was Faze and that was Complexity.
Yeah.
Complexity is obviously still in a pretty good, decent situation, but Faze is obviously at a point where you're getting ready to be delisted. There are other. If this was like 2 years ago, for the most part, I could see other teams acquiring Faze at that price point of $40 million, and just so really all you need is to have a majority. You need $21 million. Like you could easily become the majority owner of a Faze, at least as it pertains to the stock shares. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of power. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think the most likely thing that actually will happen is that it's somehow, and maybe this will happen, maybe it won't. But in my eyes, I think the best solution in this situation, when you're Faze and you have literally nothing left. I mean, in this article, it's saying that in the latest quarterly filing, Faze Clan reported having only $43.9 million in cash assets, which would not be enough to fund the company's operations till November 2023. You have to raise some sort of outside capital in order to basically take control back from your shareholders. And I think one of the easier ways to do that is through a content creator led round of funding, where I think, like, in my opinion, I think like kind of the OG members, Faze Rain, Tikwo, right? Faze, I don't know if Faze Jev is really a part of this. He just kind of does it. He does his own thing. He's out there just trying to hold it together, playing Call of Duty. God bless him. But yeah, I think the only way out of this is through a creator-led round of investment where they buy back and they make Faze what Faze used to be, which was kind of this like really cool community where it was like a bunch of cool hardcore gamers who were interested in the competitive side of gaming. And I think with all of these celebrity signings, they have lost the vision of like what esports and what being a content and gaming org is actually all about, which is the community engagement that you have with your fans and the level of competition and just overall like cool experiences that you can have with esports. And I think they completely lost that in the hopes of trying to monetize and bring profitability to Faze Clan. So I don't know what you think about that, but I think that's one of the only ways that they come out of this where Faze isn't just completely dissolved. Or in another way, I guess another option would just be dissolve the whole entire Faze Clan brand itself and just keep Atlanta Faze, the Call of Duty team.
Yeah,
those are your roots right there, and you start building from there.
Yep.
So
I mean, it's definitely interesting. Everybody's speculated on how much, like, for example, like Nick Merck's bag was to stay on Twitch. People are saying that's life-changing money to me, and I think to most people, or somebody in the somewhere in the 20 to 30 million range.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could say 10 million is life-changing money, but I think to Nick and to some of the streamers who are already making good money on an annual basis from Twitch and everything like that, I think for something to be life-changing, it needs to be a pretty large figure as far as in the difference. So let's just say you've got a Nick Merckx that's got $20 or $30 million. Faze Banks, a lot of crypto recently, a lot of money that he's been able to capitalize on his popularity in the past couple of years. Maybe Banks is worth a couple M's. I think he did an interview a year ago that said he was trying to get to 10 M's. So he holds a couple M's, but he never really, he's spending it as he's making it, and so he's never really acquiring a lot more wealth. So let's just say you have, and again, I think Faze is in a better financial situation than I think a bunch of the other founders, but let's just go with like your basics, your Ticos, your Tempers, your Reigns, Adapts, because Adapts obviously been in their most recent videos as far as content still goes. It seems to maybe be making some of the decisions over there. I think they've maybe could pull about 50 million or so internally.
Yeah.
But that's only half. So which means you have to go and find somebody else that you trust for the other 50. Now, who do you trust to focus on, the meat and potatoes to what got you to the dance in the first place, which was content. Mr. Beast had a great example of making some commentary about the fact that nobody in the Faze office knew how to make a good video.
Right.
So I'm assuming he asked something about a thumbnail or something about duration or something about retention, and Jimmy didn't like their answer and made commentary about that so he could let people know that this is not the Faze that, if they weren't aware, now people are pretty aware that like this is not the Faze you signed up for a couple years ago. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. You know, a good segue here, I think, is that, you know, they still have one of the most successful CSGO teams.
Oh yeah.
Legit, like I seen them pack at least 5,000-6,000 people into a venue for CSGO.
They just won that most recent Intel like extreme event.
Yep.
Just like a couple days ago, I think.
Yep. And that's a second one for them because they'd won one last year too. So they're perennially very good at this CSGO.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I have no idea. But speaking of CSGO, CSGO 2 or CS2, I guess it's Counter-Strike 2 has officially been revealed. How do you feel about this? I'm so stoked. Honestly, I'm super stoked. I was a big Counter-Strike guy when I was in high school, and like, dude, it looks good.
It makes so I love the, you know, obviously the smoke change. If you're anybody who's played, you know, I think there's mixed reviews on that right now. People love the fact smoke will fill a particular shape or area. Not so thrilled about the feature of being able to shoot through the smoke because now Shroud kind of discussed it very, very, very briefly on stream that, okay, so now I shoot through smoke, which means whoever shoot first loses, because as soon as you shoot and you see the circle pop up, you can see that person and just shoot right at that person. So it's really going to be, you're going to see a lot of maybe collats or damage done after the first shot into the smoke. So he's already saying that they're going to have to remove that, take care of that in some way. But I love what I'm seeing from the fact that I think you've got Val players that are starting to go back. I love what CSGO does for the entire globe as far as like you can run it on like a bean of a computer. It doesn't matter. And I think that's why it's still so popular in a lot of places in the world where councils and first country, or first world country wealth of having councils and PCs and everything like that are high powered, and everybody's watching this knows how hard it's been to get graphic cards or to get computer components for a little while now because of like crypto mining and things like that. So I love the fact that we've got a brand new game with some cool new features. And I think that that's going to get a lot of people excited. I mean, we just said CSGO peaked in play and in viewership, basically.
It just did it again like last night.
And just did it last night.
It was like 1.6 million players.
Super healthy. That's super healthy. Again, shows that like there are, as far as like internationally, CSGO is probably one of the most viable products. I think Valve did a great job putting it in the hands of people who can advocate for it and pull back some of those Valve players to CSGO.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see. I think Valve's had more Valorant, I should say, has had more momentum recently, as far as in comparison to like CSGO and the way it's talked about. I mean, how do you feel about moving forward with CS events, trying to compete against like Valorant events? Because I think the Valorant event, like the Masters, that production was just one of the best productions, So that makes it very difficult to compete if you're comparing it to viewership product.
I think this is like a really good step in the right direction for Counter-Strike 2. I think like what they're trying to do is I think they're just trying to bring the gap between casual play and like skilled play closer. So that way the competitive experience that you see from pro players and from tournaments is close to being the same as the regular matches that you would play just like at home. And I think that Counter-Strike 2 is a really good step in the direction for that. However, I think Valorant, in the way that they structure their competitive league and their tournaments, is much more efficient because it's a bilateral relationship with the teams and the actual publisher, whereas like in Counter-Strike 2, or at least in CSGO, like Valve makes all the decisions. The teams go with it. Whereas both the team and the publisher, Riot and Valorant, have a very like combined vested interest in seeing like it succeed. And maybe there's some aspects of CSGO where Valve doesn't care as much about the competitive integrity. And overall, I think Valorant is going to continue to be very popular and continue to just grow as a game. But Counter-Strike 2 will definitely put some pressure on that to make sure that, if Riot doesn't continue to maintain and manage their league in an effective manner, or as good as CSGO, then yeah, players are probably going to start to reconsider their decision and going professional in Valorant. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see. I really do like what they're bringing to Counter-Strike 2, especially the sub-tick system. So if you don't know, it's basically previously like the server when the server would recognize like a gunshot or a movement, it evaluated the world in discrete time intervals called ticks. But now we have something called sub-ticks, which basically allow the server to know the exact instant that a motion starts, shot is fired, or a nade is thrown, which is really, really good. It'll make that competitive integrity just that much closer to perfection. I think this is going to be huge. Because it's gonna feel much more responsive.
Yeah,
it does, like when you play like Call of Duty or Apex and you just die behind a door and you're like, well, I was definitely behind the door. How'd he still see me? Right?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that where that won't happen anymore in CS:GO or like hopefully in future games where they start to implement kind of the same system and structure that CS2 will have. So.
Yeah, I think the format is maybe the only thing that maybe needs to be revisited if you're going to get prime viewership. Because I think CSGO, don't they play to 15 rounds? 15 rounds,
yeah.
15 rounds. So, I mean, that's the only thing. This is like, if you go back and forth, you make it to what? Round? I don't know what the tiebreaker system is. I'll be honest. I didn't see it when the last event that I went to.
So I can't speak for CSGO, but I assume it's somewhat similar to Valorant where there's an overtime. So if it's tied up at 15, then... Actually, no, I don't think there is overtime.
I don't think there is. That's what I'm saying. And so
30 rounds.
30 rounds, and like it could go for as long as it needs to if people are just corner holding or whatever's going on. So, I think that if for what it does in getting as many players as possible, having the least PC requirements that you need, and you can run it on a basic laptop, you kind of get away from that. Because of how rigorous it is to watch. Like, it's legit like watching golf.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who say they would never watch golf.
Yeah.
And even get a similar critique of, like, baseball. You have your enthusiasts of baseball, but the person who's not an enthusiast, their complaint is that the game is slow. That's the only thing about CS is that with that 15 round, and then you're talking about another round versus another team in an elimination bracket, and I think it's double elim or something like that.
It's a long time to watch.
It's a long time. Like, it takes all weekend long for these events to go on. So I mean, from that point of view, you've got something for people to show up every day. So in person will still do well, but the problem is I don't know how many people are going to watch an 8-hour thing at home. When it's clearly proven out, like, Netflix isn't being watched as much because our attention span's just getting a little lower. We have more of these apps that can grab us quicker with a different subject matter that may, be algorithmically beneficial to us or something that we may prefer. So the only thing I'd love to see is if we could figure out, could we go to 11 maybe, or could we do 7 and then like some type of like win by 2 scenario where it's 7 win by 2, and then maybe you finally could get to 15, but those would be rare, and then they'd be more looked at as like a tennis match. You know, like there has to be action and a back and forth and some stakes on the line to make something interesting for a few hours. And tennis is one of those sports that might actually kind of have the formula because they've had guys play for 6 to 7 hours sometimes, and people stay in the stands the whole time. They just go get food, and they get to the bathroom, and then they come right back and watch. So little adjustments there, and I think CSGO could be a major, major player in the league play going forward, just in general.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Speaking of league play, or not league play, but something I would love to see league play started around, right? There's this new... Creative 2.0 was highlighted at the GDC Gamers Developer Conference in San Francisco this week. I saw a bunch of people posting about it.
Beta's out now.
Beta, I believe, is out now. And so you can now go into Fortnite and create levels. And so that kind of, from both a brand activation standpoint and just from like a viewership sort of you're now inviting those Minecraft kids, those Roblox kids who were just maybe just a little too young, or maybe were still impressionable or something like that, and mom and dad didn't want to see them start playing Fortnite right away or something like that. Now that he shows them that they built this whole level, and then he shoots, targets or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's definitely a way of like using this tool to transition and get younger players to play, to get brands to be more excited about activations that they can build around these particular levels.
Oh yeah.
And then creators. I'm really excited for creators to do their thing on it. Think about some of these guys, Rust got remade already. Somebody remade Rust. Like, I thought that was the best thing ever.
That was so
imagine
cool.
You get like your Cyphers, or maybe even like your Nick Mercs or somebody like that, who Cypher's an everyday Fortnite guy, and Nick Mercs plays it like every so often.
Yeah.
But like having those ability to create something specific to that creator and the teams that those guys have, like they have $1 million teams that are supporting them. I think they can come up with fantastic content.
It's going to be it's just 100% going to be a major game changer for like the future of gaming, in my opinion. Like I mean, if you look at Roblox, 8 to 13, like the percentage of 8 to 13-year-olds that play it daily in the United States is 75%. 75% of all kids 8 through 13 in the United States play Roblox at least once a day. And now you have this insanely powerful editor and engine on the most popular game known to man. Like there is simply put, like, this will literally change how we view and how we digest and how we experiment with new content ideas and marketing and experiences for customers and users. Like, it's going to change how we look at video games forever. I mean, I can't overstate how important this is for like the future of, like, if I know people don't like when people say these things, but the metaverse, right? This is a huge step in getting to that position where we're on a unified platform where people can design and build and create and implement new features by themselves. It's user-generated content. It's what traditional media is going through right now, right? The power was traditionally held in the publications, the TV stations, radio, news outlets. But now that power is coming back to the user, where we have user-generated content. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. This follows in the same suit, and that's why I think it's going to be so incredibly popular. And I'm excited to see what's going to be held. I'm looking at a video right now, and you couldn't even tell that it's Fortnite.
Yeah,
you wouldn't even be able to tell. Like, if I showed you this video right now, you'd be like, oh, that looks like the new sci-fi game, right? That's like the new Cyberpunk? Yep. No, dude. That's Fortnite.
That's Fortnite. So, what was it? They made a brand new FPS game on Roblox. It looks better than MW2 right now. So, I mean,
phenomenal.
They can do some amazing things on Roblox, and I think that you're going to carry over everything you could do or close on Roblox over to this Fortnite 2.0. I just think that the Fortnite 2.0 is going to... Imagine this came out a year and a half ago for Doc. Would there even be a Dead Drop alpha right now, or would there even be would there be a Midnight Society if Doc had been able to make the maps that he wanted to make? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's always been his thing, is that audio cues aren't great and the maps aren't designed to be better BRs or better multiplayer experiences, right? And that's always been his complaint. So I'm just very interested to see, like, those people who've had complaints in the past. You could now hire a full-time map creator and dev for you. By the way, this is a huge side note, huge for like the cloud gaming, because you have to think all these maps that are being created are going to be saved in some type of server somewhere and be able to be recalled, similar to like downloading a roster in like Madden or 2K. You're going to be able to do that with maps now, which are much vaster amounts of data that have much more that require a lot more computing power. So my point is the fact that you can do this now in Fortnite from your console or PC or what have you just shows like they're putting cloud gaming on to the next level, where like they have to store all this stuff that you're building. If they're able to store all of that and you're able to keep going and keep going and keep going, it shows they've got a lot of We have so much potential and how many more titles that they can bring to us, how many more maps, and like again, these features. I think the reason why companies haven't done this till now is servers do cost a good amount of money, and you have to be able to
just expensive.
Yes, you have to justify that as far as the number of users that you have. So I'm sure that they had some forecast of this bringing back a lot of users, and I saw 1 or 2 content creators last night that are putting the fork in Warzone and moving over to Fortnite. Yeah, Aiden was it actually. So Aiden, for those who don't know, signed to the NYSL, New York Subliners, as a content creator. Arguably top 3 Warzone players in the world right now. Almost beat Scump in the 1v1 for the
almost
World Call of Duty League, or Warzone League championship. But basically, saw him saying he's done with Warzone. He's going into Fortnite. He was an ex-Fortnite guy. That's where he got his big break, I would say. And so, it's really exciting time to be a gamer right now, because you've got a bunch of new games that have just came out, a bunch of new features that have just come out. I'm very bullish on a lot of different titles. And so I'm just excited to see like where we land on these kind of initiatives and features moving forward. What do you think?
I'm totally in the same boat with you. One thing I just want to add is like I can also think about the potential for like competitive play as well, where suddenly, like, I think this is always a complaint every year, but the maps, right? The maps in the Call of Duty League are just hit or miss, to say the least. Some of them are good, some of them are decent, and some of them are just downright horrible. And I'm thinking this gives a lot of power to the players in being able to determine, like, hey, how do we want these maps to flow? How do we want them to feel? And I'm thinking of a world where the Call of Duty League the maps aren't designed by the developer. I'm sure the developers will have a hand in kind of helping them out and guide them through the process. But I have a feeling that a lot of the maps coming soon, or hopefully in the near future, are going to be sourced from the players. And I think that's a really big concept to have, because again, gives more control to the players, to the users, to the viewers. And it also gives a better viewing experience, because you can go and download these maps. Like, say Major 1 has like one map thrown in there that's like a fan-generated one, or one that's thrown in that's a pro player one. I could see so many different opportunities for cool tournaments, like the user-generated tournament with all maps just from the fans. And some of them are kind of kooky and goofy.
Yep.
And they're all kind of all over the place, but at least it'd be fun, and we'd be seeing something new every single time that we'd go into a major. So that was the last thing I wanted to add. But yeah, I think there's a ton of potential for the Fortnite creative editor to just completely take over what we know as traditional gaming today. Yeah. So
developers are going to have to adjust. So look to Activision, look to Valve, look to these other companies to have to make some adjustments on wanting to keep their player base. Because I'll tell you right, well, I'm gonna go play Fortnite later.
I'm gonna go play Fortnite. I'm gonna go start making maps, bro.
Exactly.
And you also have to think about, like, all right, now we have like the editor. Now we also have this creator economy. What if we can sell maps to other people too? Now, like, oh, you want to play a new map? Here, just toss me $5.
Yep.
It's no big deal. Like, oh, okay, you want to play a new map, new S&D map? Yeah, here's $5. You can go do that, and that's super compelling to me. So that's all the time we got for today. If you guys enjoyed the show, feel free to give it a like down below. If you want to see more episodes from us, feel free to subscribe and turn those notifications on. We usually do 2 episodes a month, and they're always fun. Again, this show is also brought to you by Bautissimo. If you need any sort of cloud-based multi-platform streaming tool, Bautissimo is the one that you should be using. It covers all of your aspects: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, whatever you use, Bautissimo supports it. We have custom chat bots, stream frames, cool commands. Definitely take a look if you're interested. So again, appreciate you all watching episode 6 of the Creator Compound, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
Peace.